This next video on research methods is about choosing your hypothesis or other ways of proceeding with your research. Before that, have a look at these questions here about how you choose your research area in the first place. If you don't know the answers, you know where to look. So, aims, questions, or hypothesis. When you're starting your research, you've got to start off with one of these three things, depending on how you want to proceed. So, you could start to go by going full science and have a hypothesis, a statement that you are going to try and test whether it is true or not. So, Afro-Caribbean boys are members of street gangs is a hypothesis. You would then do some research to prove or disprove that hypothesis. If you were doing this area of research, you probably wouldn't use a hypothesis like that because you'd easily prove it wrong. Or you might say in 2019, teenagers do not follow traditional gender roles. You would then test that hypothesis to find out if that's true or false. Though often in sociology you don't do that, you may start off with a question instead. You're going to find out something. Instead of saying this is true, you're going to admit you don't know and find out. So you ask a question. So, linked, instead of that hypothesis, you can ask that question. What are teenage gender roles in 2019? You're studying the same area, but approaching it in a different way. Or if you really don't know what you're going to come across, you might just have an aim. A general thing, we're going to look at this area. I'm aiming to study gender roles amongst teenagers. Yeah? That would be the aim of your research. The thing you've got to do before you even start is have a massive amount of clarity about what you mean. If you are going to study gender roles amongst teenagers, you've got to be clear about several things. What do you mean by teenagers? What age groups are you talking about? Do you mean 13 to 19, or have you decided to do 13 to 40? You've got to be clear on that. And if you're talking about gender roles, you can't just say, I'm going to do gender roles. You've got to define what you mean by gender roles. Are you going to study clothes? Are you going to study music? Are you going to study colour? Gender roles. Are you going to study their behaviour? Are you going to study what jobs they want to do? Gender roles. If you can't just say I'm doing gender roles, you've got to say what you mean by gender roles.